I never said that the knife wouldn't move. I said that it could never reach me. The distance will have, the time will have. Infinity does not require that there is no movement. In fact, it demands that there is. The plan is working. I am safe. The knife will never get here. We are safe. I saw them hanging round some benches near the changing room in the clubhouse. 7 of them. They looked pretty mean to me, although that could have just been because of the history. I could tell the second the gang saw me. The excitement went through their bodies, jolting each one. Here comes some fun, they thought. I took the box out of my bag and held it out in front of me as I approached them. I was trying to look purposeful but not dangerous. Ha! That was funny, as if I could ever be a danger to them. But I wanted to at least look like I was there for a reason, not just some aimless kid ripe for robbing of his pocket money. The gang stopped talking among themselves, and now watched me, their stares openly hostile. I was frightened. I tried to think of my dad, tried to think what he'd have done. But thinking of my dad never really helped me. Somehow, thinking of his strength always made me feel weaker. Imagining his courage made me want to hide. About 10 meters away from them, I stopped and shouted out, "I've got something for Gatto!" My voice chose that moment to crack, and it came out a squeaking croak. At least that broke the tension, and they laughed. Too hard. Too long. "Hear that, Gatto? He's gotten something for you," one of the kids said, at last copying my squeak. The laughter swelled again. It was impossible to know how this would turn out. Something about Gatto reassured me. He was a head taller than the other kids, but he had the kind of face that fell easily into a smile. "He'd better bring it here, then," he said. His tone wasn't unfriendly, and the words still had that smile, or promise of smile, behind them. I was struck by the difference between him and Roth. There was never a time when Roth wasn't asserting his dominance over you, letting you know that he was the master and you were the clay. Gatto seemed less concerned with making the world bow to his will, but it might have been an act. After all, I was still far enough away to have a chance of escaping if I ran for it, so he could have just been trying not to scare me off. But the truth is that I was more scared of Roth than any of these kids, and I wasn't going to run. I walked the rest of the way to the group. "It must be your birthday," one of the gang said, a scrawny kid with spiky hair. He looked like something spat out by a dog. I stretched out my arm to Gatto, and he took the package. "Who's it from?" he asked. "Roth." "Roth?" he said, looking puzzled. I hadn't thought for a moment that he wouldn't know who Roth was. It was like not knowing who Jesus was, or the Queen. Then he twigged. "You mean that ape man?" The others laughed. The spiky-haired kid did an ape walk, rolling along on his bandy legs, his knuckles dragging on the ground. I didn't like that. I don't mean calling Roth an ape man. I mean the fact that Gatto didn't seem to know what this was all about. Although I wasn't exactly delighted at the idea of running drugs, I thought at least it was a deal between them, something they'd agreed on. That's where my safety lay. Gatto weighed the package in his hand. "Quite heavy." "What is it?" "Dunno. I'm just the messenger." At least I got the sentence out without squeaking. "Open it up," the spiky-haired kid said, pulling at Gatto's arm. "What do you think I'm doing?" replied Gatto, shrugging him off. He picked at the scotch tape. "Give us your knife, Mickey." A knife. I felt another surge of unease. Then Mickey, the scrawny kid, took out a Swiss Army knife. I felt oddly reassured by that. Yeah, a penknife can kill you, but it's not exactly the weapon of choice for a gangsta. What if you opened up the corkscrew or the nail file instead of the blade? Gatto found one of the shorter blades and cut through the wrapping. The brown paper eased open, and Gatto let it fall. The box inside had a picture of a heart on top. "I was wrong. It's Valentine's Day," said Mickey. He was obviously the comedian of the group. but this time the others were too engrossed in the box to laugh. It was then that I really should have run, while they were checking out the package. Even if they'd bothered chasing me, they might not have caught me. Gatto had been smiling, but now his face changed. He moved the box to one hand and looked at the fingers on the other, touching them together as if there was something sticky on them. Then he held the box up to eye level and peered underneath. "Something leaking," he said, almost to himself. Then he opened the box and dropped it. Mickey let out a scream, and the rest of the gang shouted and stepped back. Again, I should have bolted. I'd have made it. I know I would. But I was hypnotized by the box, caught by my desire to see what it contained. So I moved forward rather than away. I looked at what Gatto had dropped. The box was empty. Its contents had rolled out. For a second, I couldn't see what it was. I moved closer still. And then I saw. It was a head. A dog's head. Black and brown fur, the shocking pink tongue lolling, dull eyes staring, white teeth, blood thickly oozing. Looked like a pit bull, except pit bull never appeared to be so vulnerable. Or so dead. "Susie!" Gatto spoke the word, and then he did the shocking thing. He picked up the head he had let fall from the box, brought it to his face, and kissed the black lips. I must have made some sort of noise then, because they all turned to me. I think they'd forgotten I was there. Too late now. I tried to run, but they were on me. Two grabbed my arms, and one held me by the hair, pulling my head back. Mickey stood in front of me. Somehow he'd got the knife back from Gatto. He pointed the blade at my exposed neck. They were all shouting, and the world seemed to spin and reel in my eyes. "Slit his throat," someone said, one of the kids holding me. "Yeah, bleed him." "You saw what he did. I'm going to cut his head off and send it back to them, head for a head." The kids holding my arms pulled and twisted them furiously behind my back, and I felt a hand circle closer to my scalp and then yank back. I gasped at the pain, but I never took my eyes off the knife. Mickey put the blade to my throat and pressed. I felt it cut into me, felt the trickle of warm blood run like a tear. "Aw, baby, cry, baby, cry!" "Leave him." Gatto again. I felt a swell of pure gratitude toward him. He pushed Mickey out of the way, and my gratitude turned to horror. He was holding the head. His eyes had gone. He looked mad. I mean crazy, not mad angry. He put his face close to mine, then raised the dog's head. "Why?" "I swear I didn't know. Ross, it was a trick against me. I'm not his mate." I was trembling. And yes, tears were streaming down my face. I don't know if Gatto was hearing me. "Do you know what this was?" he said, pressing the head against my cheek. "I didn't know it was in the box. I promise. I thought it was drugs." "This was my puppy," he said, and moved away. His back was to us. We all waited. I don't know how long. He turned to face us again, and I knew I was saved. "Let him go." A sort of collective moan came from the gang. "But what he did, Gatto, we've—" "Shut it. Like he said, he's only the messenger. The post boy." "Still, though, Gatto, we've got him." "Yeah, he's the only one we've got. Sometimes you have to make do with that. So we send them a message back. Least we could do is cut him." Gatto ignored them. He took another step toward me. "Come on, Gatto, let's teach him a lesson," said Mickey from the side, his voice quiet, urgent, pleading. "They can't do this. They can't show us this disrespect, this war." Gatto looked at him, and for the first time, as if for the first time, and his face changed again. Not angry, not crazy, not laughing. Deadly serious. And suddenly, he looked like Ross. "For once, you're right, Mickey," he said. "It is war. But this little poof isn't the one." He turned to me. "You said Ross sent this?" Roth, yes, I was trembling. Tell him something for me. Tell him this. Tell him Gatto's going to kill him. Do you understand? Yes. You won't forget? No. I'm going to help you remember. And then Gatto opened the jaws of the dog and clamped them around my face so hard I had to breathe in the bloody, stinking death of it, breathe it down into my lungs, and Gatto scraped the teeth across my cheeks.